Most people think weight loss is about cutting calories, skipping meals, or grinding through long fasts. But here's the truth. None of that works if your insulin stays high. You can be eating clean, working out, and still not lose an inch because your insulin is silently blocking fat burning. When insulin is up, your body locks away fat. It keeps you tired, hungry, and stuck in storage mode, no matter how disciplined you are. But when insulin finally comes down, everything changes. Energy returns. Hunger calms. Fat burning switches on. And suddenly, the same body that was fighting you starts working for you. The trick isn't extreme fasting or a low-calorie plan. It's learning to work with your insulin rhythm. There's one simple daily shift that almost no one talks about. A quiet, powerful insulin trick that flips your body from fat, storing to fat, burning mode. And it doesn't require perfection. Just a few small, consistent changes that lower insulin a little every day until your metabolism learns a new pattern. In this video, you'll see how tiny adjustments, like eating your first bite later in the day, balancing protein with the right kind of fat, and cutting the hidden carbs that spike insulin, can unlock stored fat and keep energy stable all day long. Once you understand how insulin really works, you stop chasing every diet trend. You stop feeling broken. You start burning fat naturally, without white-knuckling your way through every meal. Because when you fix insulin, you don't just lose weight. You regain control over your hunger, your focus, and your energy. And that's when weight loss stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like freedom. For decades, we were told that losing weight was simple. Eat fewer calories than you burn. That idea sounds logical, but for most people, it hasn't worked, not long term. You can eat less, move more, and still watch the scale refuse to budge. The missing piece isn't willpower, it's insulin. Insulin is your body's fat storage hormone.
Hi, welcome to today's health tip. Today let's talk about calcium. We know that the body needs calcium to maintain strong bones and healthy teeth. There are many sources of
store fat. When insulin is low, it says burn fat. That one signal determines whether your food becomes fuel or gets locked away. Think about it this way. Every time you eat, your blood sugar rises. Your pancreas releases insulin to escort that sugar into your cells for energy. But when you're constantly snacking, sipping, or grazing, even on healthy foods, your insulin never gets a break. It stays elevated all day. And when insulin is always up, your body can't access the fat it's already stored. It's like the doors to your fat cells are sealed shut. So even if you're eating fewer calories, your body can't burn the fat you already have because insulin won't let it out. You end up tired, hungry, and frustrated, not because you're weak, but because your metabolism is trapped in storage mode. Now picture insulin like a light switch. When it's on, your body is in storage. When it's off, you're in burn. Most modern diets keep that switch on nearly all the time. Processed snacks, sugary drinks, and frequent eating keep insulin high and your metabolism stuck. That's why calorie restriction often backfires. You eat less, but your body panics. It slows metabolism, raises hunger hormones, and holds on tighter to fat. This is why someone can eat 200 calories a day and still not lose weight, because it's not the calories controlling the process, it's the insulin. Eat. High insulin tells your body, we have plenty of fuel, store it. Low insulin says, we're ready to burn. Here's the secret that changes everything. Once you lower insulin, your body naturally starts using stored fat for energy. Hunger quiets down, energy rises. You can go longer between meals without feeling miserable. It's not magic. It's physiology finally working the way it's supposed to. In healthy, low insulin states, your body moves easily between burning glucose and burning fat. But when insulin is constantly high, as it is in most people today, that flexibility disappears. You become sugar dependent, needing constant fuel to keep going. The moment your blood sugar drops, you feel shaky, tired, and desperate for a snack. Lowering insulin reverses that pattern. It re-teaches your body how to burn fat again. And once that switch flips, weight loss starts to feel effortless. You don't need to starve. You just need to create space for insulin to fall. That's the key difference between people who lose weight easily and those who stay stuck. It's not about discipline. It's about hormones. You could have two people eating the same number of calories. One burns fat, the other stores it. The difference is insulin. And here's the empowering part. You control your insulin every single day. With your food timing, your meal composition, and your choices about when not to eat. Once you see insulin as the main lever, the entire strategy for weight loss shifts. You stop chasing calorie numbers and start focusing on hormone balance. That's when fat loss becomes sustainable. Because when insulin finally drops, your body does what it was designed to do: tap into stored energy, burn fat cleanly, and keep your metabolism steady without the roller coaster of hunger and cravings. It's not about restriction, it's about rhythm. Once you learn to lower insulin naturally, you unlock the door your body's been guarding for years. The door back to steady energy, clear focus, and a metabolism that finally works with you, not against you. Most people assume their insulin only spikes when they eat sugar or dessert, but the truth is insulin rises far more often than most realize. And it's the small, constant spikes that quietly keep you stuck. The problem isn't just the big meals, it's the little moments in between that never let insulin rest. Picture this. You start your morning with a healthy breakfast, maybe oatmeal with fruit, a splash of almond milk, and a drizzle of honey. It feels light, but to your body, that's a sugar surge. Insulin shoots up to handle it. A few hours later, you grab a granola bar or sip a coffee with cream and a little sweetener. Another insulin hit. By lunchtime, insulin still hasn't dropped, but you eat again. The cycle continues through an afternoon snack, dinner, and maybe a few bites before bed. You might think, I'm not overeating, I'm just keeping my metabolism active. But your body doesn't see it that way. Every bite, every sip, every snack triggers insulin. And if insulin never falls, your body never gets the signal to burn fat. It's like having your metabolism stuck in park all day. Even foods labeled healthy can cause this problem. Whole grain crackers, protein bars, low-fat yogurt. They sound harmless, but many of these are filled with hidden sugars or fast-burning carbs. They keep your insulin gently elevated for hours. And here's the tricky part: you don't feel it. You might even feel proud for eating, right? Not realizing your body is still locked in storage mode. Sugary drinks are another sneaky trigger. A splash of juice, a flavored coffee, even a zero-calorie drink with artificial sweeteners can send a subtle insulin signal. Your taste buds tell your brain that sugar is coming, and your body prepares to store energy. Over time, this constant preparation makes your cells resistant. Your pancreas has to pump out even more insulin to get the same job done. That's how insulin resistance quietly builds, one sip at a time. Then there's late night eating, the silent saboteur. When you eat after dinner, especially when your body should be winding down, insulin stays high overnight. That means your system never gets the break it needs to burn fat while you sleep. Instead of tapping into stored energy, your body keeps storing. You wake up groggy, craving carbs, and thinking you just need more caffeine, when what you really need is an insulin reset. Most people live in a constant pattern of feed, spike, repeat. The body never enters a true fasting or fat burning state. Even a small snack can interrupt hours of fat burning. Think about that handful of nuts before bed or that spoonful of peanut butter after dinner. It might seem tiny, but it restarts insulin's timer. Here's the real frustration: you can do everything right and still not see results. You can exercise, track calories, and avoid dessert, yet your insulin rhythm stays high because of these everyday habits. That's why fat loss stalls, energy drops, and cravings refuse to leave. It's not about effort, it's about timing. Once you start recognizing these triggers, you begin to see how often insulin is being nudged. That awareness is powerful, because the fix isn't extreme, it's about creating space between those spikes. Instead of 6 mini meals, try 3 real meals. Instead of a constant stream of snacks, give your body hours without food. Instead of eating right before bed, let insulin taper down overnight. These changes sound small, but they compound. Every break you give insulin is like unlocking another fat burning window. Each quiet stretch teaches your body that it's safe to switch fuel sources again. Over time, your energy stabilizes, your cravings ease, and your body becomes more flexible, able to burn stored fat instead of demanding more sugar. Once you start seeing insulin as the rhythm, not just the reaction, everything becomes simpler. You realize your body doesn't need to be constantly fed, it needs time to balance. And that's when the slow, steady fat loss begins. Not because you're pushing harder, but because you've finally stopped interrupting the process. There's one small shift that quietly flips everything. A single daily habit that can lower insulin faster than almost anything else. It's not another diet rule or supplement. It's something you can do today For free, that changes how your body uses energy. It's the timing of your first and last bite. Here's the trick. Give your insulin a longer break between the time you finish eating at night and when you start again the next day. That's it. You don't have to go on a long fast. Skip meals for days or live on black coffee. Just stretch the window between dinner and your next meal by a few hours. Even 2 or 3 makes a big difference. Why does this work so powerfully? Because insulin naturally drops when you're not eating, but every bite, sip, or nibble restarts the process. If you finish dinner at 8 p.m. and start breakfast at 7 a.m., your insulin only gets a 9-hour break. For many people, that's not enough time for the body to switch from storing to burning. But if you end dinner by 6 p.m. and wait until 10 a.m. for your first meal, you've given insulin a 16th-hour rest, long enough to reset. That quiet stretch is where the magic happens. When insulin finally falls low enough, your body taps into stored fat for fuel. You wake up with steady energy instead of hunger pangs. Your brain feels clearer because it's running on ketones, the clean energy your body makes from fat. And your cravings start to fade because your metabolism is no longer chasing sugar. I've seen this shift transform people in days. One of my patients, a 52-year-old teacher named Linda, came to me after years of struggling with weight. She was eating healthy, walking daily, and still stuck. Her energy crashed mid-morning, and she couldn't make it through the day without snacks. When we looked at her routine, we found her insulin rhythm never had time to rest. Breakfast at 7, lunch at noon, snacks all afternoon, dinner late. Her body was always in storage mode. We didn't overhaul her diet. We simply moved dinner earlier and asked her to wait a little longer before her first meal. The first few mornings, she felt hungry out of habit, but that changed fast. Within 5 days, she woke up with steady energy. Her afternoon cravings disappeared. Within a few weeks, she noticed her clothes fitting differently. Not because she ate less, but because her insulin finally dropped low enough to unlock her stored fat. That's how powerful this trick is. By delaying your first bite and finishing your last one earlier, you train your body to rely on its own energy instead of demanding constant refueling. You lower insulin gently, naturally, without counting a single calorie. For some people, that means skipping breakfast and having their first meal around mid-morning. For others, it's about cutting off late night eating. Both achieve the same goal: more hours each day when insulin is low and fat burning is active. You can pick whichever fits your lifestyle best. The beauty of this shift is that it works with your body, not against it. You're not fighting hunger all day or depriving yourself. You're aligning with your natural circadian rhythm, when insulin sensitivity is higher earlier in the day and lower at night. By eating within that window, your body uses food more efficiently and stores less of it as fat. You'll notice the benefits quickly: clearer thinking, fewer cravings, and more stable energy throughout the day. Instead of the afternoon crash, you'll feel even. Instead of needing constant snacks, you'll forget to eat because your hunger signals are balanced again. This isn't a diet, it's a rhythm reset. One small adjustment in timing that lowers insulin restores flexibility and unlocks fat burning without the struggle. And once you experience how steady your body feels when insulin stays low for longer stretches, you'll never go back to the old routine of constant eating. Because that's when you realize your body isn't broken. It just needed time to remember how to burn again. Once insulin begins to fall, the next step is learning how to eat in a way that keeps it low. Not by eating less, but by eating smarter. The key is combining your meal timing with the right balance of protein. This is the move that stabilizes blood sugar, prevents hunger crashes, and turns every fast into a fat-burning advantage. When people start spacing out their meals or delaying breakfast, they often hit a wall. Around mid-morning or early afternoon, energy dips, focus fades, and cravings creep in. That's not failure. It's a signal that your body still depends on quick burning fuel. The fix isn't more carbs, it's better protein timing. Protein has a unique power. It doesn't spike insulin the way carbs do, and it keeps you full for hours. When you eat protein at the right times, you feed your muscles without waking up your insulin too much. It's like giving your metabolism clean fuel that doesn't flip the fat storage switch. Think of it this way: every time you eat, you can either feed your cravings or feed your muscles. Protein does the second. It tells your body, we have enough energy. We don't need to store fat. At the same time, it supports muscle repair, and more muscle means better insulin sensitivity. That's the secret most people miss. The more muscle you preserve, the easier it is to keep insulin low. Here's how to use this in real life. When you break your fast, whether it's at 10 a.m. or noon, start that first meal with protein. Eggs, meat, fish, Greek yogurt, or even a clean protein shake if you're on the go. Aim for 30 to 40 grams at that first meal. That much might sound high, but it's what turns off hunger hormones and stabilizes blood sugar for hours. Next, balance that protein with natural fats. Avocado, olive oil, nuts, or butter. Fat helps slow digestion and keeps you satisfied longer, so your insulin stays calm. The mistake many people make is cutting fat too low or reaching for low fat, high carb health foods. Those trigger small insulin spikes all day long. The second meal should follow a similar pattern. Prioritize protein and fat. Add low insulin vegetables like leafy greens, broccoli, or zucchini, and skip the starchy sides. It's not about restriction. It's about giving your body what it needs to stay stable. When you eat this way, your blood sugar hardly moves and insulin stays in its lowest gear. What about carbs? They're not the enemy. They just need to be placed wisely. If you're active, save small portions of carbs for your evening meal when your muscles can absorb them without a big insulin rise. Think of carbs as a tool, not a comfort. The more your body learns to burn fat, the less it depends on them. This structure, protein first, fat for fullness, carbs last, creates a rhythm your body thrives on. You stop feeling the highs and lows of sugar swings. You go hours without thinking about food. And instead of relying on willpower, your biology keeps you steady. One of my patients, James, struggled with afternoon crashes even after fasting until noon. He'd break his fast with oatmeal and fruit. Healthy, but insulin spiking. I had him switch to eggs, avocado, and a handful of almonds. Within a week, the difference was dramatic. His cravings vanished, his energy held steady, and his fasting periods became effortless. He didn't change the window, just the composition. That's the real secret. It's not just when you eat, but what you eat when you do. Protein and timing work together like gears. One stabilizes your hunger, the other frees your insulin to drop. When both move in sync, your body becomes a fat-burning engine, not a fat-storing one. You'll feel it first in your energy. No midday fog, no constant hunger. Then, the inches start to move because your body is finally pulling from its own reserves. You're not fighting biology anymore, you're aligning with it. And once you experience that stability, the calm energy that comes from steady insulin and strong muscle, you realize this isn't another short-term plan. It's the way your metabolism was designed to run all along. Hidden carbs are one of the biggest reasons people stall. Even when they're doing everything else right, you can be fasting, eating protein, and timing your meals perfectly, but if sneaky carbs are slipping into your day, your insulin never truly rests. The result: slow or no fat loss despite all the effort. These hidden carbs are everywhere. They hide in sauces, dressings, and even foods marketed as low carb or keto friendly. The problem is they don't look like sugar, but your body treats them the same way. A tablespoon of ketchup, a splash of barbecue sauce, a small handful of trail mix, all innocent on the surface, but each can spike insulin just enough to interrupt fat burning. Most people don't realize that insulin doesn't need a huge sugar bomb to rise. Even a few grams of hidden carbs, eaten often throughout the day, keep it gently elevated. Think of insulin like a dimmer switch. It doesn't have to be fully on to stop fat burning. Just a little light keeps your body in storage mode. That's why learning where carbs hide becomes so powerful. Once you remove those sneaky triggers, your insulin finally drops low enough to let your body burn cleanly. You'll feel the shift: less bloating, clearer thinking, fewer cravings, and faster results without changing your calories at all. Let's talk about where those hidden carbs sneak in. Salad dressings are one of the biggest culprits. Even light versions often contain sugar, honey, or corn syrup. 2 tablespoons can add 6-10 grams of carbs, and most people use more than that. The same goes for sauces. Teriyaki, ketchup, and marinades are loaded with sugar. You don't taste it because it's mixed with salt and acid, but your insulin notices. Then there are healthy snacks, protein bars, flavored yogurts, nut mixes, and smoothies. They look nutritious, but if you check the label, you'll often see 15, 20, or even 30 grams of carbs, mostly from hidden sugars or starches. Even artificial sweeteners can trick your brain into expecting sugar, which triggers a mild insulin response. You're not just satisfying your sweet tooth, you're keeping insulin awake. One of my patients, Karen, learned this the hard way. She was fasting 16 hours a day, eating clean meals, and still stuck. When we reviewed her food log, we spotted it. Her zero sugar coffee creamer. Just 2 tablespoons had 5 grams of hidden carbs, and she was using it 3 times a day. Once she swapped it for unsweetened cream, everything changed. Within 2 weeks, her cravings dropped, her fasting became easier, and her weight started moving again. The difference wasn't more fasting or more restriction, it was removing the constant carb drip that kept her insulin elevated. That's how powerful these tiny details are. They can be the line between burning fat and storing it. To spot hidden carbs, get in the habit of reading labels. Not just the calorie count, but the ingredient list. Watch for words like maltodextrin, corn syrup, rice starch, and anything ending in "-ose. These are all forms of sugar, and your body responds to them just like the sweet stuff. Even natural. Options like agave or honey can spike insulin. A simple rule: if it tastes sweet, it likely triggers insulin. And if it comes in a package, double check the label. Your safest bet is to stick with whole single ingredient foods, meat, eggs, vegetables, healthy fats. The fewer ingredients, the fewer surprises. When you cut hidden carbs, something amazing happens. Your insulin finally gets the break it's been waiting for. That small drop unlocks steady fat burning, especially overnight. You'll wake up lighter, clearer, and more energized. Your fasting window feels easier because your blood sugar isn't bouncing. This step magnifies everything you've already done. Your meal timing becomes more effective. Your protein and fat balance work better. Even your shorter fasts feel more powerful because your insulin stays low for longer stretches. You've removed the friction, the little daily spikes that were keeping your body on pause. And here's the best part: once you start cutting hidden carbs, your taste buds change. Foods you once thought were bland suddenly taste rich and satisfying. You stop craving sweets because your body isn't riding the insulin roller coaster anymore. That's when you know you've crossed the line from managing your weight to mastering it. You're no longer reacting to cravings or chasing hunger. You're in control because your insulin rhythm is calm, your metabolism is active, and your body is finally doing what it was designed to do: burn fat, not store it. The real power of the insulin trick isn't in doing it once. It's in turning it into your rhythm. When you stop chasing crash diets and start focusing on your daily insulin pattern, everything begins to click. Your body finds its groove. Hunger calms, energy evens out, and fat loss becomes something that happens in the background of your life, not the center of it. This isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. Small daily choices that keep insulin low more often than it's high. Finish dinner a little earlier. Wait a little longer before your first bite. Anchor your meals around protein and healthy fats. Skip the hidden carbs that sneak in between. These simple moves don't feel extreme, but together, they retrain your metabolism. The first thing you'll notice is the steady energy. No more mid-afternoon crashes, no more foggy mornings. When insulin stays balanced, your brain runs on a cleaner, steadier fuel, ketones, and it shows. You feel alert, focused, and calm, not jittery or anxious from sugar swings. Your body finally stops begging for constant snacks because it has learned to tap into its own stored energy. That's when cravings start to fade. You no longer feel controlled by food because your hunger hormones are balanced again. You can go hours without thinking about eating, and when you do eat, it's out of nourishment, not impulse. For many people, this is the first time in years they've felt free from that mental tug of war with food. Your sleep improves too. When insulin drops overnight, your body moves into repair mode. Growth hormone rises, fat burning accelerates, and you wake up refreshed instead of groggy. It's the opposite of what happens when you snack late or eat right before bed. When insulin stays high and your body spends the night digesting instead of healing. The beauty of this lifestyle is that it doesn't demand extremes. You don't need to fast for days or count every calorie. You just need a rhythm, hours of low insulin, balanced with meals that don't restart the spike. That rhythm trains your body to run efficiently, using stored fat as its steady power source. And it fits into real life. You can travel, work, socialize, and still stay in fat burning mode because the foundation doesn't change. Eat in a window that works for you. Choose real foods that keep you satisfied. Keep sugar and processed carbs out of your daily rhythm and let insulin do what it's meant to do. Rise briefly, then fall and stay low long enough for your body to burn. Over time, the transformation becomes visible, not just in your waistline, but in how you feel. Your face looks less puffy. Your skin glows because inflammation drops. Your mind feels sharp again. Your energy feels stable from sunrise to sunset. And the best part, you're not fighting your biology anymore. You're flowing with it. When people first start this journey, they often ask, how long until it works? The truth is, insulin begins to respond within days. Each time you lower it, even slightly, you make your body more flexible. Within weeks, you start burning fat more consistently. Within months, you're living in a new rhythm, one that feels effortless because it's built into your habits. You'll know you've mastered it when food no longer feels like a battle. You'll eat when you're hungry, stop when you're satisfied, and stay energized in between. That's when the constant chatter about diets, calories, and cravings fades into the background. You're not surviving on willpower anymore. You're thriving on balance. Once you master this simple insulin trick, your body stops fighting you and finally works with you to burn fat, boost energy, and restore lasting health. Your metabolism becomes predictable. Your hunger stays calm. You wake up every day knowing your body is on your side. And that's when lasting transformation happens, not from restriction, but from finally understanding the rhythm that makes fat loss feel natural, sustainable, and real.